Hi, folks. I'm Charlotte, and you're listening to the White Mountain Sound. Today, I'm joined by Jeff from Dirt Pile out of New London, Connecticut. Jeff, how are you today?
Oh, good. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you for asking. I wanted to just have you give a little bit of an overview of Dirt Pile for anyone who may not be familiar. What's sort of the elevator pitch here?
Okay, we are a three-piece, once again from New London, Connecticut. I'm on guitar. Matthew is on vocals. Dean is on drums. We've been going for a couple years. We don't so much claim a genre, but kind of in the area of heavy punk, kind of sludged out, little psychedelic, some noise rock, heavier stuff. Yeah, some hardcore influence. I guess that's the long and short.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. I hear that sludginess in there, that punk, like you say. But yeah, that's super sick. Um, and you guys have a record out right now, right?
Yes, Raw Milk, 5 songs. This is actually a very proud moment for all of us as far as the songs and how it came out. Uh, yeah, it's very close, very personal to us, this one for sure. It's a lot of things we've completed in the last year or so, but even for me, some of the music's been hanging out since I was very, very young. One of the songs actually I wrote as a teenager and kind of got rearranged by the band for this, for this time period. Yeah, a couple things from when we just first started jamming, even that just got completed. It's really about what gets completed at the same time as far as what comes out. There's no plan of things kind of fitting together, but then somehow it did. So yeah, that was very gratifying.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like this is sort of the culmination of a lot of years of work for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, and also kind of a portrait of where we're at now, I suppose, because this is what we all sort of had the priority of finishing these five at the same time period. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. And you guys put out a physical release, right, on CD?
Yes. Yes, it's our third physical release. It just came out actually officially on the 8th.
Yeah, that's awesome. So super recent as of recording this. And there was a show, big release party show, right?
We just had that. What the heck day was it? It was Saturday. Yeah, 33 Golden Street, which, our favorite venue, in fact, in New London. With a bunch of our best friends in bands, the Great Sons of Montana, the Great Versa, also the Great Riseria. So that just happened. We played the whole thing front to back for the first time. A couple of songs had never been played in front of an audience. So yeah,
Yeah, that's a super special moment, man. And I wanted to ask you too. You mentioned playing with those other bands. I noticed I was looking through the Dirt Pile Spotify page, and I saw that you guys have a playlist on there titled "Maybe the Real Dirt Pile was all the bands we played with along the way," and it's kind of got mementos of all these shows that you've played in the past, songs from bands that you guys have built with. I wanted to ask you about that and why you guys feel that's important to kind of hold on to the experiences of those past shows and playing with other people.
yeah. Matthew was the driver of the playlist. Eh, our singer. It's very important to him personally to kind of put out there, the great music, the bands that we play with, the bands that even have helped us out, a lot of them, and just ones that are great. To kind of document what's happening locally and call attention to what's good out there. And then as far as why the rest of us are connected to it, it's real. I mean, for me, it's about the experiences of holy crap, the amount of talent in this area is pretty bonkers. Like I've never really seen it before. All my years, different places. It's a very the time that's happening right now in music, it's out of control. Like just stuff springing up everywhere. And Dean has been our drummer, has been a veteran of live music, for it's basically his whole adult life. So his connection to what's going on right now as well. It's pretty intense.
Totally. Yeah, I think that's awesome. I see so many local bands, playing together and in that whole area. You guys in Connecticut are definitely part of a hot spot, I would say, for just like a lot of new stuff that's coming out. Um, do you think, I know I don't know about you, but I feel like I hear a lot of people these days talking about how, music used to be something that it isn't anymore, the sort of star has faded a little bit in music as a medium. I want to ask your thoughts on that, and if, you think that we're seeing still like that rate of innovation, or if maybe, there are factors that have slowed stuff down.
I mean, the rate of innovation is off the charts. I think what's different is that, well, rock music isn't the center of pop culture.
Mhm.
So it's not really all right. Let's listen to the radio, watch MTV, and da da da. It's all right there. So yeah, if you sort of disconnect from going to what's happening locally, tuning into that. I mean, I even did for many years. I was, more absorbed in working and whatnot. But actually getting back involved, has definitely showed me that is wildly incorrect. That there's nothing happening. There's a whole bunch of holy crap, like I said. Um, yeah, it's actually an incredible amount of innovation happening. There's actually improvements on how it used to be that no one really cares as much about genre anymore, I feel like. So there's a lot more freedom, I guess, in what people are making, I would say. uh Less sort of playing to a crowd. You don't see a lot of, say, commercialism, uh at least in our sphere of who we deal with. People are really seem to be doing what they want and seem to be just kind of doing what speaks to them. So that's different than what I remember. No longer the center of everybody's conversation, I suppose, out there, and out there in the schools or whatever, like how it was. But I mean, there's a lot of young people that are involved, so it's definitely crossed generations.
Skipping back on to Raw Milk for a second, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the specifics there, because so I've been bumping the EP since it came out. I really dig it, and I think if
Thank
I
you.
had to pick a favorite track, it'd probably be Lather Jacket. So I was hoping that, if you have just any stories about how that came to be, or just any insight, I'd love to hear it.
Oh, definitely. We were in practice one day, and I was just kind of strumming around randomly just to hear the amp, like you do sometimes. And so Matthew just stopped me, like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's just just strumming or whatever." And basically, that turned into the song. So it's kind of cool. We wrote it right there, kind of that day, as far as most of the musical parts, because we jammed it out and kind of went, back and forth like we do. And then over a couple more practices, we just narrowed it down into the actual song. And then Matthew kind of took it and stitched together a lyrical vision. A lot of it is out of dream imagery, which is how he usually gets a lot of his inspiration. So that's how that came together, kind of a mix of those things.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for the insight on that. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the album cover, because that was one of the first things that really struck me about it. Is like it's got this crazy kind of collage style. So I wanted to ask how that came to be as well.
That was our artist friend Billy May, who Matthew had, they'd connected with our, online, I believe, and then kind of started communicating about putting the cover to our next thing. And oh yeah, it's very mind blowing imagery that jumps right out at you.
Yeah, so I mean that all came together, and Raw Milk. I think, I can tell you guys are proud, and I'm definitely digging it. I wanted to also, as you say, you guys have some previous records in the bank at this point. And you guys have had a busy 2025, it seems, because it looks like in the spring you put out a record called Sonic Sewer. So I was curious what's sort of the difference might be, you know, where you guys are at now versus where you were at that time, or if you're just, you know, chugging along, keeping the pace.
I see we're just keeping the pace. Dean, the drummer, records all of the material, so we basically hash out any number of songs between the three of us, and then once we get to a point of having kind of a nice grouping of 5 or 6 finished ones, then we go about recording it. Last summer we put out a series of singles that became Sonic Sewer the following year, along with some new recordings we'd made. So that's just, the way that Raw Milk was the 5 songs we finished around that time. Sonic Sewer was the song we finished around, kind of similar time last year, and just sort of did a more sporadic release leading up to the physical album with, a couple more tracks that we recorded. We sort of had a big year, a couple big years of recording there. And Dean did the recording and the mixing and the mastering.
Nice. So everything done in house.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, like what I can run into here. I mean, the way I even found them, they had a duo called Moose Phantom. They had kind of a long series of mostly improvised recordings. That was kind of a noise punk heavy sort of thing. And they put out an ad looking for somebody to form, a band with. And that was the thing mentioned in it. And that's how I kind of even got on board is, yeah, they, between the two of them, they can make a duo. Each member could actually make, I've heard them do solo work, even the two of them. That's pretty incredible. So yeah, what I
For,
ran into is pretty, yeah, pretty bonkers here.
for sure. And so, you know, with that in mind, the natural question can only be, what's next for Dirt Pile? What are you guys looking ahead to as we sort of close out the year here?
Yeah, we're just working on songs now. That's always the next thing is once you got something recorded to start to put together some newer material and just playing shows, that type of thing. I think that's really the like one of the big strong points is just having a very visceral kind of that is a live experience in the end. So yeah, we like playing shows.
That's awesome. What do you hope that, you know, the folks who come out to see a Dirt Pile show, what do you hope they're walking away with at the end of the night?
That's actually a tough one. We just want, I suppose, it to be impactful, we'll say. We're really focused among ourselves in sort of, I'd say, I think we all want to feel the impact in our own sort of physical bodies, I'll say. That's really what we're doing. We're trying to feel that so we put out what we want to put out. And then as far as the audience, I appreciate everything that comes back to us, really. I think we all feel the same way in that. Me personally, I do hope for an impact. I hope for, knocking back up a couple steps, as we'll say. You know what I mean?
Thank you out there so much for listening, and until next time, I've been Charlotte, and this is the White Mountain Sound.